Okay. Hey replay viewers, remember when you tune into this you can skip forward as you're watching to, if I say anything that's boring you can skip forward and just watch at your own pace. Today I'm going to talk about 50 hacks for planning, organising and getting more done. Essential Mummy, Crystal, hey Crystal, thanks for your tweet earlier. Hey Mark! Hey Crystal, thanks for your tweet earlier. I'm taking your advice and trying to do a bit more Periscope. I know I haven't done any for a long time. Just been a bit slack, I suppose. I have been meaning to do more, go on Periscope a bit more, and I kind of had it stuck in my head that if I was going to be on Periscope that I would need to reuse the videos and write blog posts about them and all that kind of thing. But I think I'm just going to be a bit more impromptu. I know that you're on Periscope quite a lot, so yeah, I thought I'd try and give it a go today. And so yeah, I've just published a blog post called 50 Hacks for Planning, Organising and Getting More Done. And I wanted to do a quick Periscope stream to just run through 8 of my favorite hacks. And if you're interested, you can, go to my blog and learn more about the other hacks that I've written about. And there's tons. I've been writing this for a couple of weeks. So, oh, come on, let's get the phone right. Yeah, I've been writing this post for a few weeks. So I've detailed as many hacks as I can. So I'm going to go through some of my favorites today. And the first one I want to talk about, which is something I picked up from reading the book Essentialism, is this idea of saying no to everything that is not essential. So this book, it's a really great book, Essentialism by Greg McKeown, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Really great book, all about how you identify the tasks that you should be working on that really contribute to where you're trying to get to in terms of the projects that you're working on or the work that you're doing, and then saying no to everything else, the kind of trivial tasks that seem to clutter up our lives. And so one of the big takeaways from the book is learning how to say no to everything that is non-essential. And so that's one of my kind of favorite hacks that I've been trying to live by recently. It's actually one of my kind of themes going into 2016 is to try and say no to all of the ideas that I have that aren't really essential or aren't really important, to say no to the projects that aren't really going to contribute to my goals, and saying no to even the people that are going to distract me from getting to where I want to be. So that's a really important one, is learning how to say no to everything that's not essential. The next hack I wanted to talk about was to number 21. Here we go. Document the habits that you're trying to improve. Starting a new year, 2016. I'm sure everyone's setting up New Year's resolutions and things, and learning and trying to improve themselves and adopt new habits and things. I know I am. I know I'm trying to read more and get back into meditation and things. And so I think a good way of making sure that you adopt new habits is to track how well you actually how well you're actually adopting them. So I actually used the Workflow app on my iPhone recently. So for those who haven't used Workflow, it's a great little app that lets you kind of create little apps in itself which allow you to just make different things happen. So I've created this little app where every day I can click the app and it opens, and you document how long I've read for that day, how long I have meditated for that day, and I document my achievements from the day and anything I'd like to improve the next day. And then it saves it into Evernote, which is where you can save notes and different kind of things for later. Everyone usually has heard of Evernote. And it also adds it to my calendar as well. So it creates a little appointment in my calendar which documents how I was tracking for those habits that day. And so that's a little trick I'm using to try and track my own habits. And if you're interested in using something similar, you can go to my blog, and I've got a link on item number 21 here for where you can download that workflow if you have the iPhone, and you can actually track your own habits as well. So that's a nice little hack that I'm trying to use to adopt some new habits in 2016. Number 22 on my list was to focus more on less and ask yourself, can I realistically get all this done today? I know that I usually fall into this trap when I'm doing my weekly review and planning my week, where I often try to do too much. You know, I think I'm going to do these 5 things and I schedule them in my calendar, and I don't actually give each task enough time in my calendar to get everything done. I think, you know, this is going to take an hour, and it ends up taking an hour and a half or even 2 hours. And so I have to push things back to make enough time for everything. So now I'm trying to be much more realistic with how I'm planning, to make sure that when I put something in my calendar, I'm putting in an accurate amount of time for getting that thing done. So I'm trying to be a lot more realistic with how much I'm trying to accomplish on a weekly basis. The next tip I'd like to discuss is making small improvements every single day or every week instead of productivity spikes. Now, it can be quite common for people to kind of go through these spikes and troughs of productivity where they, if you think back to studying, maybe you're at uni and you have an assignment and a lot of people, they leave their assignments to the last minute and they have this big productivity spike where they produce an entire essay in a very short space of time, and then kind of their productivity will dip and they don't get much done, and it kind of spikes and troughs like this. And I think it's much more sustainable, it's much more efficient to actually just make small little improvements, small little increments of progress every single day and every single week. And so in the example of this essay, if when you get the assignment 4 weeks or 8 weeks away, just open a document and put the title in there and then just do a very brief outline or something like that. That could be an example of some very small steps that you can take that's going to create huge motivation, and it's going to just help you to take the next step and then the next step and the next step. And just by focusing on small little improvements, small little increments of progress, I think is much more achievable, it's much more sustainable, and it's going to get you into a really good rhythm of getting things done. Next, I want to talk about, this is an interesting one, let me scroll down, sharing your goals. This is something I've talked about before, but it's been, research has been done and it's been shown that if you share your goals with other people, it can make it more likely that you'll get more done. This is because when you share your goal with someone, if I tell you, hey, I want to read 1 book a fortnight this year, I feel that I have to now hold myself accountable because I've shared that with you, okay? And the next tip I wanted to talk about was don't share your goals. And this is really interesting. I was listening to, I was watching a TED Talk with Derek Sivers, and he's actually written about why sharing your goals can be bad. Because, let me see here, he said, once you've told people of your intentions, it gives you a premature sense of completeness. And it's kind of like that idea, like you're bragging that you've done something before you've actually achieved it. And so you kind of step off the gas, you don't really feel like you need to work as hard because that sense of accomplishment is kind of there. So I had those 2 things on my list of sharing your goals and don't share your goals. And it's kind of interesting, like which one do you do? And I think the best thing to do is to just find the approach that works for you. Try sharing your goals with people. Don't agree, share. Okay, so I think just do what works for you. Like try sharing your goals, see if that works, see how that motivates you, or if it doesn't motivate you, and then try the opposite approach. If you have an idea or a project that you're working on, maybe just keep it to yourself and see if you feel any different in terms of your motivation and your ability to get work done. And number 35 on my list was learn as many keyboard shortcuts as you can. So this is a computer trick, and this is something I've been working on quite a lot recently. If you spend a lot of time on the computer, like me, I'm on the computer most of the day for work and blogging and things. If you can use your keyboard as much as you can and avoid having to use the mouse, it just makes you so much more efficient on the computer. You zoom around, you can get around the computer, you can get to different apps, make things happen very quickly and efficiently if you don't have to move that hand to the mouse. And so the way I approach this is if I find myself doing something and on a regular basis, like closing a window or you're copying and pasting or something like that, see if there's a way of achieving the same result with a keyboard shortcut versus using the mouse. And just spend some time Googling like Mac shortcuts or PC shortcuts and see which ones you can pick up, and a lot of them will cross between different apps and things. And so I find sticking to the keyboard as much as you can be really handy at speeding you up on the computer. And then finally, the final tip I wanted to share on this Periscope stream was to use a someday tag, so that's someday, in Evernote to just document all the ideas that you have that you want to come back to. You don't want to forget them, but you don't want to pursue them right now. I think it can be easy to fall into a trap of you have an idea and you kind of drop everything else and pursue this new idea really quickly because that initial excitement is there, which can actually be quite detrimental to your productivity. I think it's better to just park the idea add it to Evernote. Jot down some notes. Add any images or any articles or anything that's relevant to it, and just add a little tag that says someday. And then every month, or when you finish a project, just revisit those someday notes and see if there's any ideas that maybe it's time to pick one up or start something new, and so that you don't let yourself run away with ideas. Yeah, inspired thoughts throw me off all the time. Yeah, I definitely, and it kind of comes back to that other point. You need to learn to say no. You need to learn to say no to your ideas as well. So if you have new ideas, maybe you're not saying no, but you're saying someday to those ideas. Make sure you've got that clear sense of what you're trying to accomplish, and come back to everything else later. Once you've given those things time to mull over, and often I find that you'll have an idea and you'll revisit it later, and you'll actually think, like it wasn't as good as I thought. I know that happens to me quite a lot. Is after that initial excitement has worn off, you look at an idea again, and it's not as good as you once thought. So thanks for tuning in, Crystal. Looks like you're the last one left, but thanks for calling me out on Twitter, getting me back into the old Periscope. I'll definitely try and do some of these impromptu scopes on a more regular basis. So thanks for the tweet. I think it was well deserved. And I'll make sure to do some more in the future, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks very much.